Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Rapidi's webinar. Today we'll be discussing the maximizing business synergy and the powerful integration between HubSpot and Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP. So I am Serene Tuiri, I'm a sales consultant here at Rapidi, and here with me my colleague Andrea. Andrea Seni, she's a data integration consultant. So before we start, I would like to make a special announcement that we have for today. So if you're interested in integrating HubSpot and Microsoft Dynamics 365, if you're registered for this webinar and you're watching ads now, we will be given 10% on the implementation for the 5 companies who contact us first. I will explain a little bit further into details later. So let's start with today's agenda. So we will start with an introduction to Rapidi. We will explain the importance of integration. We will then go through Rapidi integration solutions, and we will dive into HubSpot, MS Dynamics 365 ERP integration. Then I will tell you about some of our customer testimonials, and I will also explain how you can get started with us. In the end, we will go through a Q&A session, so please feel free to write all of your questions and doubts in the chat, and we will go through them one by one and give you an answer, a detailed answer about your doubts. So first topic, Rapidi company profile. So Rapidi is a data integration expert. We have over 30 years of data integration expertise. Our journey started back then when Microsoft was still called Navision. It was a very small group back then. And our CEO, Michael Bach, was part of that group. So Michael is still playing an important role at Rapidi today. And this speaks about our history and experience in the dynamics. So at Rapidi, we specialize for data integration for the major players of the tech world, such as Salesforce, Microsoft, HubSpot, and much more. We have worldwide coverage. We have customers through different industries, and as I mentioned, and worldwide. At Rapidi, we not only are experts in integrating these systems, but we also know the systems we integrate very well, meaning that if you have any doubts about the systems, it could be the CRM or ERP that you need to implement in your organization, we will be more than happy to advise you and help you choose what works better for you. So at Rapidi, we are offering a flexible, simple, and robust complete solution. We are using the cutting-edge cloud technology that is extremely easy and doesn't require any programming at all, and this makes it flexible to match your needs. We will not only give you access to the tool, but we also go the extra mile for our customers, meaning that you get everything you need and you have our outstanding support doing the integration, and also post-go live, you have access to our consultant, and we will support you during all the way. So this is also one of the reasons why we have great customer references, and also one of the reasons why we are maintaining the 5-star rating in most of the platforms. And now I would like to hand over to Andrea. Andrea, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So now we'll go through the first section. So for today, we want to discuss about the importance of integration. And on our side, we think that the integration itself should be simplified or at least made easy so that you can go through the process without any headaches or without any challenges. And speaking of that, why is it important to integrate any system in general? So first of all, we talk about these 4 buckets that you see here. First one is collaboration. So when you have systems that are integrated, then you get to activate the data that you have in those systems. So this means that you get this full customer overview, and then you enable teams to collaborate better internally. Then the second bucket is about efficiency. So this bucket is very important to all companies. And what an integration will do is that you will not have double data entries. So then this means that you don't switch between systems, and you will eliminate rework. And in the end, you get what you actually need, which is process automation. The third bucket would be quality. So as soon as you have your data in all systems and the data is correct, you can say that you have consistent data. It means that you can trust that data, and based on it, you can go ahead and build your reports. And this means that in the end, you get increased user adoption. And then the last bucket is about growth. Of course, once you have the first three, then you can say you have better decision support, you have increased customer satisfaction, and in the end, you do sell more and faster. Now, why is this important? So first of all, any integration will streamline your business and sales processes. So things will be definitely easier. It will ensure data consistency. So everything you have in one system will be in the other ones as well. So then you get real-time information. So you know for sure that what you have in one of the systems, you also have in the other one. It will offer you real-time data synchronization. So it means that if you have new customers, if you have new orders in one system, then you can also have the same information in the other systems that you are currently using within the company. It will improve decision-making. So this means that, of course, teams will be able to focus on more important tasks, on more important decisions, and then they will be more productive. It will reduce, if not eliminate, data silos, manual processes, and all those communication gaps that happen in a company when there are so many people using the systems and there's no automation. It will enhance the overall customer experience because then you have everything that you need in all systems and you can take care of your customers. Now, we'll go through this part, which is Rapidi data integration solution. So as I mentioned before, we do think that data integration or integration in general should be made easy. It should be a very straightforward process. So it should be easy for you to go ahead and integrate your systems and then be able to see all that data in all of your systems. Now, Rapidi is an innovative IpaaS, and we do focus on simplicity. We want to make sure that we have a simple design, installation, and use. Rapidi is a cloud integration system. So we have pre-configured templates that allow you to integrate any systems. So as you know, all integration platforms will give you the possibility to integrate with any system. But of course, in order to speed up the process, we have built this mapping templates, which are already available, and you can use them if you want to integrate your system. So this means that you save time. So instead of starting from scratch and building everything, then you get those templates and you can apply them and start using them. This means that the project itself will not take months, and then in the end, you get value out of it. And of course, we do have extensive expertise in integrating the Microsoft Dynamics ERPs with CRMs such as Salesforce, HubSpot. But of course, we have worked on so many other different integrations. The idea is that you want to integrate to actually elevate. So you want to make sure that your systems talk to each other. And by doing that, then you become more successful. You get all your data in all those systems, and then the teams can collaborate and get everything that they need in order to actually do their part. Speaking of systems and what we usually support, as you see here on the screen, these are the most common endpoints that we have worked with. But of course, it doesn't mean that we are limited to what you see here. And for example, we have worked quite a lot with Salesforce, with HubSpot, with all the Microsoft Dynamics products, well, ERPs and CRM, with Oracle databases, SQL databases, with CMS platforms, or any type of system or website that a company might use. So we do work a lot with the Microsoft product and also with Salesforce and HubSpot. But we do also work on other type of integrations, which happens between systems which are, let's say, more peculiar and they're a bit different. Of course, if you have a system that's not here on the list, then you can easily reach out, and then we can go through your requirements, see how we would connect to it, and then we can make recommendations based on that. So yeah, I think if from our perspective, we are definitely open to any suggestions or any possible integrations that you might have. But as I mentioned, we have listed here the most common ones, the ones for which there is a high demand. Next, we will mention a couple of things. Is that Rapidi is focused on data integration. So we do integrate Microsoft Dynamics ERPs, which can be cloud-based or on-premise, with CRMs such as HubSpot, Salesforce, or the Microsoft D365 Sales CRM. But of course, we also have different combinations here. So we can say we have integrations between HubSpot and Business Central, for example. It can happen between Salesforce and the Dynamics products. It can be between Salesforce and NetSuite, or even between the Microsoft products directly. It can be ERP to ERP, for example, or ERP to a CRM. And this leads me to the next point, which is data replication, which happens between multiple Dynamics 365 ERPs. That can be Business Central, can be finance, or any databases. And of course, we have a REST API in case you have systems that do not fall into the above categories, and many other systems that we could work with. Now, we will dive into the HubSpot and the Business Central ERP integration and how this looks like. First of all, Rapidi is an IpaaS with no staging of your data, so you can easily set it up. You don't need to be a developer or a technical resource. You can connect multiple systems or multiple companies. You don't have any limitations in terms of that. You can integrate any data, can be standard, custom, anything, and then all subscriptions are all inclusive. So you get the whole package from the very beginning, and you know exactly what's included and how things will work moving forward. Now, when we actually speak about HubSpot and the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central integration, then you'll see here the most common or standard data flows. So as you know, whenever you want to integrate two systems, you do have common scenarios. In this case, we will have customers that are being created in your ERP, and you want to have the same information in your CRM. So then you would send customers to HubSpot. And then, of course, whatever you have in HubSpot, any updates, anything can be sent back to your ERP so that you maintain everything updated. The same thing happens for contacts. So you create a new contact, and then you want this to be sent over to your CRM. And then you can also send it back if you have any updates in any of the systems. And then we have items. So of course, in any ERP, you would have items and all that information regarding every specific item type, prices, and all that. So then you can send that information to HubSpot and have that under products. So you can send any item related information to HubSpot. So then you have it there as well. And of course, prices, as I mentioned, if prices change, if there are any updates, you can also do that and make sure that both systems will show the same thing. And then we have deals. So as you know, in HubSpot, we have deals, which are basically opportunities. So once, as soon as the deal is closed, then you can send it over to your ERP, and then you have a new sales order. So that's a process that can be done via the integration. And then once you have the sales order in your ERP, you can also send back to HubSpot any updates, anything that has to do with that specific order. And then we have invoices. You have posted sales invoices in your ERP, which can be transferred to HubSpot if you need to have a clear understanding of all your data. And then any other custom objects that you might have. What we have shown here on the list these are the most common scenarios, are the standard ones. But of course, you might have this very specific scenario, or you can have just a custom one or a mix. It doesn't really matter because we can work with any of them. So you can either go and set up the integration for the standard data flows that we have here, or you can go ahead and use the custom tables or objects that you have. So we can work with any of them. But of course, what's important here is that what you see on the screens, so all these data flows that we have here, master data and transactions, they have a template that's associated with them. So it means that the template is already available. You just have to use it as soon as you start the integration, and you can start testing and see how the data is being transferred over. And if you use the standard setup and then you think that you need to add custom tables or objects, you can definitely adjust the current integration and add more to it. So from that perspective, it's very flexible. You can use it as it is or just adjust it according to your needs. Here we have a quote to cash example. So as we know, the general quote to cash scenario is that the lead would be qualified. Then we have a quote which is accepted. The order gets invoiced, and then in the end, the invoice will get paid. So of course you have the lead, and then this actually triggers the creation of a company and a contact. So you have a new company in HubSpot, and you want to send that over to your ERP. So you do that via the integration, and that company will become a customer in your ERP and will be created accordingly. And then, of course, you have the contact, which, of course, can be sent over to your ERP with the same information. And you can send this information back and forth if you need to. And then we have deals. Deals, which are opportunities, you can send them to your ERP as sales orders, right? And then if you want to send any update back to HubSpot, you can do that without any issues. And then we have the invoices. Once you have them in your ERP, you can also send them over to HubSpot. So you have a full view of all your invoices. Now, we'll go a bit into more detail with regards to the data flows. So I went through the most common scenarios that we have seen. And in Rapidi, what will happen is that you'll have data mapping and transformation. So this means that all the fields that you have in your ERP will be mapped to the corresponding HubSpot fields. And then once you have the data mapping completed, then you decide what you want to do. So you have insert, update, upsert. So this means creating a new customer, updating an existing customer, or doing both. And then the last step, which is link storage or lookup tables. This is a way to store the IDs of those records. So if you have customers, one customer is created in, let's say, Business Central, and you want to send that to HubSpot, then you will be able to store the customer number and the HubSpot ID that actually belongs to that specific customer. So this would be more or less the process when you go through an integration. And of course, then we have step number 1, which is creating the connection. When it comes to HubSpot, it's very easy to do that. You just authorize the connection. And when you authorize it, you will be redirected to your HubSpot instance, and then you're done. You get a message saying this has been authorized. So then that's it. And then the next step within the connection setup is to actually read the full layout, meaning the objects and the fields that you have right now available in your instance. When it comes to Business Central or any of the Microsoft ERPs, the connection setup is a bit different. So we definitely have very detailed documentation about that. So that has to be done separately. And of course, there's also the matter of the connection type and how you would prefer to connect to that specific ERP. So it's not just one way to connect to them. But for that, in case you have Business Central, for example, then we have documentation that can be used in order to set it up correctly. So once you have the connection set up for both systems, you decide what you want to do. You can say, okay, I want to create new customers, update the ones that we have, or just do both. You can definitely do that, or any of the actions that you see there on the right side. And step number 3 would be mapping. I mentioned before that we have the mapping templates. So those are already done. Those can be applied directly, and then you just need to adjust them according to your specific needs. So that's a good starting point for those companies that want to use them. However, you can also create it from scratch if you want to. You can go ahead and add all the fields that you need in either HubSpot or in Business Central. And then we have step number 4, which is configuring link storages. This is not mandatory, so this is something that you would do only if you really need it. So as I mentioned, it's a way to store the IDs that belong to those specific records that you are sending either to HubSpot or Business Central. For example, you have the customer that has been created in Business Central, so that customer will get a unique customer number. And as soon as you send it to HubSpot, HubSpot will assign to that customer an ID, which again is unique. So you can store those here, and this will be presented as a list, and it's updated automatically whenever the data is being sent to HubSpot or Business Central. So it's not something that you would do manually or you would intervene. So no, it's just something that will be always updated whenever the data is transferred to the destination system. And of course, as soon as you're done with the mapping, so you have everything there, then you can set up schedules if you want to. So you can go ahead and do that and see how data is being sent from one system to another. So when you set up schedules, you can define, of course, you have to define the interval or the frequency, how often you want this to run, give it a description, and have a priority. And then how often you want to be notified about errors if they happen. So you can have the schedule set up, and then as soon as you do that, they will run according to the frequency that you have indicated there. And of course, in the end, there are best practices with regards to this type of integration. It's really important to define the integration scope, have a very clear scope, and make sure that you know your business process, and of course that you understand what the outcome would be. When you send data from one system to another, the entire process would actually need to match your business requirements. The second point is timestamp fields. That's something that is definitely recommended and needed. So in all systems, there are timestamps that record the date and time when a record has been created or updated. So that's an audit field. So those are always needed on any integration, because then the overall performance will be definitely better. And then point number 3 is create an integration plan. Make sure that you do have a data validation process. So when you are going through testing and you are reviewing the data in any of the systems, make sure that you validate that accordingly, and that you can sign off on it and say, okay, this is good, I want to go into production. And of course, the second part would be error troubleshooting steps. Make sure you have that in your plan, so then if you run into errors, then you will be able to troubleshoot and understand where they are coming from. And last but not least is the contingency plan. So in case something doesn't go according to your plan, then also think about like what would you do in that specific situation, and take action accordingly. Now we'll talk a bit about Rapidi's key functionalities. We have a few things here that we've already looked at, but we will go through them one by one. So we have data mapping and transformation, real-time synchronization, customization and scalability. Then we have the automated workflows, security measures, and monitoring and analytics. So the first one that we have here, which is data mapping and transformation. So we've touched this one before. You are able to map any type of data without any major effort whenever you want to work on an integration. So you can either use the pre-built mapping templates, or you can just start from scratch. We do have support for custom data fields or objects or tables. So you have all the flexibility that you need in order to complete your integration. And we do provide an intuitive data mapping interface. This means that you can customize your flows at any point in time. The second one, which of course is very important for any integration, so the real-time synchronization, it ensures that the information is always up to date in both systems. So everything you have in your ERP, you also have it in HubSpot or any other CRM. So you get this updates immediately in both systems, so the teams can focus on their work. And this means that you get to minimize data latency, and you have an improved decision making overall within the company. Then we have customization and scalability. We can adapt to any business processes and structures and needs, and we can ensure scalability for businesses of all sizes. So we can talk about very small companies or huge enterprises. We can work with any of them, and we can ensure that the integration is built according to their needs. And we do provide customization at any level. So if you have industry-specific needs, we can incorporate those into your mappings. Or if there's a very specific business process that you have, then we can also make sure that that is reflected in the current integration. Then we have automated workflows. So here, of course, as soon as you have your integration running, then the entire integration will streamline your business processes. So the repetitive tasks will be automated. It will reduce the manual effort, and it will minimize errors. And then you get the flexibility to customize data so that it meets your requirements. So if you have built an integration and then later on you decide that some things need to be changed, and you can definitely do that. You can always adjust it so that it meets your requirements. And another topic which is really important, security measures. So we are committed to data security and compliance. So we have encryption protocols, access controls, and many security features because we do want to make sure that companies feel safe about how we handle their business data. So we want to make sure that they are confident about it, and that they do not get worried about their sensitive business data. And last but not least, so we have monitoring and analytics. So whenever you have a running integration, you do have access to the monitoring tools. So those tools will provide you the possibility to track your integration performance. You can see how everything is running, and you will be able to identify any bottlenecks, any issues, and be able to optimize processes if necessary. Next part is some of the Rapidi functionalities that we think are pretty interesting. So here we have data flow actions. So whenever you decide to transfer data from one system to another, you have to think about the action. So you have to think, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to create a new one? Then you just use add. Do I want to update that? I just use update. Do I want to delete it? Then you use delete. So you can use different combinations in order to transfer data. And the action, of course, is very important because you tell the system what to do. So again, as I mentioned before, this is very important because then as soon as you decide what you want to do, then the system will do that for you. Will create, update, delete, anything that you need. Then another really interesting functionality would be the write back fields. So these are used quite often by customers because they are really useful. So for example, we have one which is called store new ID field. So this one, on any type of data flow or transfer, it allows you to store the ID of the newly created record into the source, right? So you want to, so you have a new customer that has been created in Business Central, right? So then you want to send that to HubSpot. So you send that to HubSpot, and as soon as you have it in HubSpot, it will have this ID that's assigned to it, right? And you might need that ID because you want to reference that customer as well from a HubSpot perspective. So what you do, you use this functionality, and then the HubSpot ID is written back to your ERP, and you have it available on the customer record. So this is a very fast way to have the customer reference, the both, customer reference, Business Central and HubSpot in your ERP. And then the second one, which again is really interesting, is the transfer field. So you can use that, and it allows you to write a timestamp, meaning date and time, text or Boolean, back into the source table on each transferred record. So you want to transfer a record. So as soon that that record is being transferred, so this has been successfully transferred, then into this field, you can have a date and time, meaning today's date plus the time written into that field. So it gives you the confirmation that this has been sent successfully. So you definitely have the new record in your system. And then last but not least, we have tags. Tags are parameters which can be set up at the connection or the data flow or transfer level, and it can serve multiple purposes. But I think the most common one is when you have multiple legal entities in your ERP. As you know, in the Microsoft Dynamics ERP, you'll have one instance per company. So this means that you will need to set up a separate connection for each one of them. So when you do that, you have the option to use tags so that all the data that's being transferred will go through a master transfer. So then you don't need to create, you don't need to actually configure a separate data flow or transfer for each of those companies. You can just use one master data flow, and then the data will be sent over to the destination system via the tags functionality. So this is the most common scenario that we have seen, but of course, you can get creative and do so much more with it. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's being used quite a lot by our customers. And just to summarize, so Rapidi offers data integration solutions between major ERPs and CRMs. So we are talking about the Microsoft Dynamics products or CRMs such as Salesforce, HubSpot, but we are not limited to that. We can work with any type of system combination, so we can definitely integrate them. What we have is a cost-effective and a scalable business model. And the integration via Rapidi is possible for both cloud and on-premise. So if you have a cloud system, perfect. But also if you have an on-premise system, then we can also connect to it. We do have a lot of experience in that area. We do have robust development tools, and you have the mapping templates, as I mentioned. So those can be used at any point in time. And a very important aspect is that this is approachable for non-IT users. So you don't really need to be a technical person or to be a developer to be able to work on an integration. You'll definitely be able to work on it with minimum information. And then you can manage everything post go live without specialized resources. So it's pretty easy and straightforward after you go live, because then you will get all the information that you need and you will be able to maintain it by yourself. And I think that's it. Back to you, Serene.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Okay, and now I'd like to summarize a little bit what you get when being a Rapidi customer and explain why we consider Rapidi as an all-inclusive investment model. So the reason is that you have no hidden costs, no maintenance costs. It's an investment because you only have the one-time implementation fee plus the yearly subscription that is including our support. So when committing with the Rapidi, you have access to the integration platform, which give you access to the integration configuration, advanced data toolbox, log and notification, monitoring, and the Rapidi connector. You also get access to our integration templates that are complete business processes. They are already pre-configured, come with the best practices. They are totally customizable and come with detailed documentation for all the information that you need. Then you also have the Rapidi support. As I mentioned, it's included in the Rapidi subscription. It will help you maintain the integration, add fields to existing transfers, have access to integration advisory, and resolving data errors. And now I'd like to go to the next section, which is the customer testimonials. So at Rapidi, we are very proud with our happy customers and proud with holding the 5 stars in the average rating on the major IT vendor platforms. I can give you some examples. We have Salesforce App Exchange, Gartner Digital, and some more. We also hold the 5 stars as average support rating through the past 8 years. And this is for our customers through the different industries and geographies, as I mentioned before. So at Rapidi, we are offering a great customer service and support. Our implementation team is extremely helpful and responsive. We are answering the requests very fast and within an efficient way. And when we work on the implementation of the systems of our customers, it's normally working flawlessly and meeting their expectations. So we consider ourselves as very professional, offering an excellent service, as our customers mention. We help you integrate your ERP and CRM, and our service is very reliable. We are offering short response time, which is extremely important when it comes to this project. And whenever you keep adding new transfers or anything that comes later through your integration, our specialists will always be extremely responsive and extremely professional to help you go through it. And this is the reason why we having most of our customers that are recommending us as a system integrator. And now next topic, I would like to explain how you can get started with us. So it's really easy. All you need to do is go to the Rapidi website, go through the contact form, and you need to fill in your contact details, whether you're interested in being a customer or partner. You just write a few lines about your project, and we will be answering you in a short time, and we will schedule a meeting to know more about your project. We invite you to follow us and connect through our social media channels, because you will see a lot of interesting information and you will see our announcements about the next webinars also. And now, as I promised in the beginning, we have a special offer. So for live attendees of this webinar, we offer the first 5 implementation at 10% discount for your HubSpot integration implementation package. So if you attended the webinar, all you need to do is contact us through the contact form. You mentioned that you attended the live webinar, and we will get back to you and apply the 10% discounts as mentioned before. And now I would like to explain which steps we go through when we start working together. So we call this the 5-phase approach, so that we can ensure a smooth implementation process. So first of all, we would start with the discovery, which is the integration, project scope validation, and project kickoff. Second step would be the onboarding. It's basically onboarding you into our Rapidi platform and Basecamp, which is the online collaboration platform that we use. Then we'd move to the configuration, which is the integration configuration on the Rapidi platform again, and the end user testing. Then we would move to deploy to production, which is the initial data synchronization, upload of historical data, and the actual cutover to the production environment. And finally, we have the transition to support, which is the post-go live support. We go to the project closer and transition to the operational support. So I hope it's clear. If you have any doubts about this, you can write to us, and we will answer very fast. And now it's time for your questions. So we will start with a few questions that we prepared, because we get a lot of these. But if I see any other question in the chat, I will be going through them with a priority. So Andrea, first question that we prepared is, why should we choose Rapidi integration platform instead of using other standard integration tools?
Okay, so here I think there are a couple of things. One is that from the very beginning, when you decide to work with Rapidi, then you get transparency. So you know what's included, you know what the scope is, you know, you understand what will follow, right? So, and then you know what's included. So that's something that will be very clear from the very beginning before you actually start working on the project. When it comes to other standard integration tools, usually you do get what's standard. So a standard integration meaning standard setup, meaning standard tables or fields. So and then if for example you have custom fields or any custom objects that you will need to use, then that will be purchased separately. So the time spent or the hours that the team will have to spend on that will be invoiced separately. So this means that from the very beginning, you don't get a clear understanding of that, of what the cost will be, how the setup will be done, and then financially, how much do you have to pay in the end. Then the second point is that, as I mentioned previously, we do have the mapping templates. Like in this conversation, we talk about HubSpot and the Dynamics 365 ERPs. Those are built already with the data that exists by default in both systems. So you can use the mapping templates as they are, or you can adjust them and include custom fields, for example, or just expand them if you want to. Other standard integration tools will provide you standard templates, standard integrations, but those are limited to only what's in there. So if you get this standard integration offered to you, then you have to use it as it is without any possibility to adjust it or add more to it or include anything that's custom. So that has to be very clear because when we talk about standard, then a lot of integration tools will just offer you that without any type of extension, so to speak. And then the last point is about support. Whenever you decide to work with an integration tool, then you have the project, the estimate, and the scope, and all that. And then it's also the question of support, if it's included or not, right? In our case, it's always included because we want to make sure that post-go live customers do get specialized help if they need to. And then when it comes to other standard integration tools, support is not included at all times, or you do not get the level of support that you need in case you have issues with your integration. So support is very important post go live because you might have an issue where your integration is not running correctly at some point. So you need someone with knowledge to help you out and explain what is happening. So you need a certain level of support. You don't need level 1 support, so to speak, right? So you need someone that has experience. So that's the huge difference between Rapidi and other integration tools, is that we do have the specialized support and very fast, and then customers get the answers that they need, whereas the integration tools, the other that exist, provide you with a minimum support, and then any let's say more knowledgeable support teams or maybe a higher level, that will have to be, of course, paid for separately. So this would be more or less the point when it comes to what to choose and who to work with.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, so let's go to the next question. How to set up your data integration project in 3 steps?
So first of all, have to define your scope really well. Think about what you want to integrate and how it needs to happen. Because if you want to integrate to systems via Rapidi, then we can do that without any issues. But I think we want to make sure that the integration reflects your business process. So we want to make sure that what we integrate and how we do it is actually something that will represent you and everything that you have within the company. And then step number 2 is be able to connect to your systems. Here, of course, the customer's input is required because then we need the right permissions and access, and that can only be granted by the customer itself. So we have that done, and then as soon as we have the connections, we have mapping, and of course testing within the same bubble, so to speak. So if you use the mapping templates, you go ahead and just go to testing right away. If not, then you can go through all mappings and do them one by one, and then you go to testing. But I think in our case, usually customers have the scope defined, so everything is clear, and then you have the connection set up, and then straight to testing based on the templates that we already have for those systems.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Next question is, how can we ensure the best data mapping?
Yeah, so I think here it's important to know how your data is structured in both systems. If you have anything special in, let's say, in HubSpot, if you have any special workflows or any automation that's only in HubSpot, then you have to mention that so that we are aware of it and we can tell you if that can impact your integration or not. If you have any type of restrictions, that's also important to know, because if you have a lot of restrictions in one system but nothing in the other one, then that can be a challenge and then a problem in the end. So we have to make sure that you have the same level of the configuration in both systems. So if you have a lot of let's say pick lists, if you have a lot of workflows in HubSpot, okay, then that's fine, but we have to see how that would look like in your ERP, just to make sure that it doesn't have a negative impact on your data. So as long as you have a clear picture of that, how you have all, everything set up, all the restrictions and all that, then we can definitely make sure that the mapping is done accordingly. Or we can, of course, recommend and tell you, okay, you would need to make some changes in the system. So then whatever you have in HubSpot, you have it in your ERP in a different way, but you have it. So then both systems are on the same page, basically.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so why it's best to be prepared when handling errors?
So I think here what we recommend is to get ready, so to speak, or start this preparation from the moment you actually go through testing. So you go through UAT, you'll definitely get errors because you're in a testing environment, so that can happen. So that's a perfect moment to go through errors and see how to troubleshoot and understand how to fix all that. And of course, what's really important here is that as soon as you go to production, most of the errors are data-related errors. So then that is still something that has to be taken care of by the customer itself. So if all those errors are related to your data, you will need to go into your system and see what the problem is. If someone added something that's incorrect, then you have to fix it. And then as soon as your data is correct, then Rapidi will pick the update and send it over to HubSpot, for example. So get ready during UAT, and then as soon as you go into production, you'll be good to go. So you will not be scared by possible error messages or just panic if you see something red. But yeah, I think as soon as you do that, I think as a customer, you should be able to troubleshoot, post go live, and be able to take care of any errors.
Yeah, that's clearly better.
Yeah.
Okay, so which systems does Rapidi support?
So yeah, I think we had that nice slide at the very beginning of the presentation. So we said we do have a list of the most common endpoints, meaning systems that we integrate. And like I said, work with the Microsoft Dynamics ERP, CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, Oracle, or SQL databases, or CMS, or anything that's API driven. So all that. But of course, there are also maybe there are systems there on the market that we haven't worked with, right? Because there hasn't been a demand for it. So in that situation, we do encourage current or future customers to reach out and say, okay, we have these systems, we want to integrate them. We can look at it, and then we can provide recommendations. I think, yeah, we definitely have a specific list with systems because there's a really high demand for those. So those are the ones that are being used quite a lot by companies today. But of course, this can change. So next year we can have other systems added on the list just because we are seeing an increased demand in something else.
Mhm.
But I think the point is that we are flexible and we can definitely integrate new systems. We did get requests from customers regarding new integrations with new systems. So we have done that successfully, and I think we can do that moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, we have two more questions. So, do you support custom objects?
Yes, so here, very important, we do support custom objects. It doesn't really matter how many you have or how you are using them. As long as we have access to them, then everything is fine. And then, as I mentioned before, we have the mapping templates, which are built on standard objects. But this doesn't mean that you cannot use custom objects or fields instead. So you can always do whatever you want with the mapping templates as long as they reflect what you have right now within the company.
Mhm. That's pretty clear. Last question. Why should we choose Rapidi integration platform instead of building integration by ourselves?
So here I think, like, if you want to be efficient and if you want to save time and save money, right, then you would use you would use a platform that has proven to work, such as Rapidi. So you use it, you build your integration, everything is running, you're good to go. So you do that very fast. But on the other hand, if you have this personal or like internal project that you want to work on, so you want to build something by yourself, then you can do that. But this means, of course, you need resources. Then you spend a lot of time on it because people have to go through this discovery. So they will be learning things while they are building that new integration, so to speak. And of course, cost wise, then you will definitely have to invest a lot in that specific project. So like I said, if you want to be on the other side, make sure you're efficient, everything is done fast, and you don't have any headaches, then you go for an integration platform such as Rapidi. But if you have all the time in the world and all the money in the world, then you can definitely go for something that, can be built internally.
Yeah. Thank you for your answers, Andrea.
Welcome.
Okay, so next section, I would like to announce the next webinars so that you can save the dates and register, of course. So next webinar would be on December 12th, and the topic will be Salesforce and MS Dynamics 365 Finance Integration. Then we will have another webinar on January 22, 2025. Yes, already we're moving to the new year. So the topic will be Salesforce and MS Dynamics 365 Business Central integration. Then in February, we have a webinar on 20 of February, and the topic will be HubSpot and MS Dynamics 365 integration. So as you can see, we are having a webinar per month, different topics, and you can access to the link to see the webinar overview. So now it's time to wrap up our webinar. We would like to start by thanking you for watching us, rewatching the recording. We invite you to go to our website and check a little bit more. You can have access to the solution overviews, case stories, maybe related to the solution you're interested in, or by fields. You can have access to fact sheets, and if you need anything else that you don't see there, please contact us and we will be happy to share it with you. Also very important for us to get your feedback. We will also share, yes, now sharing the link here in the chat. You will also receive these slides shortly after the webinar. You will find the link. So we will be really grateful if you can tell us in few lines what you liked about the webinar, what you think we should improve, or if you have any suggestion about the topic or anything. So this will help us prepare for the next webinars and align with your expectations. So follow us, as I said before, follow and connect through the social media channels, and you will see that we are sharing the next webinars and some important information also. So thank you very much again, and we hope to see you soon.